A German worker loses his job because his cars can't sell in America. An Italian farmer's olive oil becomes too expensive for US stores. A French wine shop shuts down. Why? Because US President Donald Trump just dropped a massive threat. A 50% tax on everything the European Union sells to the US, starting June 1st, 2025. Why is Trump doing this? Is it really about fixing a $250 billion trade gap? Is he trying to scare Europe into a deal? Will this crash the global economy? And how will it hit your wallet, whether you're buying a Volkswagen or a bottle of French wine? We're diving into all of this today. Let's start from the beginning. Hey everyone, I'm Kundan Yashputra. Welcome to NextGen Now. Imagine you lend your bike to a friend, but they charge you to use their skateboard. You'd be mad, right? That's how Trump feels about the EU. On May 23rd, 2025, he posted on Truth Social, saying he wants a 50% tariff, a kind of tax, on all EU goods coming to the US starting June 1st. That's just days away. He's upset because the US buys $250 billion more in goods from the EU than the EU buys from the US every year, according to the US Commerce Department. That's like your friend borrowing $250, but only giving you $50 back. Let's make this super simple. A tariff is like a fee you pay to bring stuff into a country. If a $40,000 European car gets a 50% tariff, it could cost $60,000. Who pays that extra $20,000? Either you do, or the car company stops selling here. Bad news either way. How did we get into this mess? Back in April 2025, Trump started Liberation Day tariffs, a 10% tax on all countries selling to the US, plus an extra 20% on the EU. He said the EU's taxes, like their value-added tax, make it hard for US products to sell in Europe. The EU got mad and planned to tax $107 billion of US goods, but Trump paused those extra tariffs for 90 days until July 9th to talk it out. Everyone thought things were calming down. Stocks went up and markets relaxed. But then, boom, on Friday, Trump said talks are going nowhere and pushed for this 50% tariff. He even told reporters in the Oval Office, "I'm not looking for a deal. The deal is 50%. That's like saying, pay me $50 for my bike or forget it. Markets panicked. The Dow dropped 1%, the S&P 500 fell 1.2%, and European stocks crashed too, per Reuters. Why is Trump so angry? He says the European Union was formed to take advantage of the United States, and their $235.6 billion trade surplus in 2024 is proof, as reported by the US Commerce Department. His Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, said on Fox News that the EU's 27 countries are moving too slowly in talks, like a team that can't decide who's captain. But Europe's not sitting quietly. EU Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič posted on X, "We want a fair deal, not threats. EU-US trade is huge and should be based on respect." Ireland's Prime Minister Michael Martin told RTE it's enormously disappointing and could disrupt the global economy. France's Trade Minister Laurent Saint-Martin said on X, "We want peace, but we're ready to fight back. The EU's already planning to tax $107 billion of US goods if this tariff hits." Here's the big picture. This is like two giants wrestling and everyone else gets squashed. The EU is the US's biggest trading partner, with $1.3 trillion in goods and services traded yearly, per the Congressional Research Service. A 50% tariff could make everything from Italian shoes to German machines crazy expensive. It might even push Europe into a recession, says Citigroup's Robert Saukin. Meanwhile, Trump's had better luck elsewhere. He made a fair deal with the UK on May 8 and cut tariffs with China on May 14 for 90 days. What do experts say about whether this trade war will end? And is it a masterstroke or a blunder? Some, like Bill Reinsch from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, call it a bullying tactic to split the EU's 27 countries and force a deal. Others, like Georg Rikeles from the European Policy Center, say the EU won't budge. They might hit back with tariffs on US goods like whiskey or drugs, hurting American jobs. The Peterson Institute for International Economics ran a model showing a 25% US tariff would shrink the US-EU trade deficit but tank both economies' GDP and spike inflation. Worse if the EU retaliates. A 50% tariff would be even uglier. Will it end? Experts like L. Daniel Mullaney from the Atlantic Council say a deal is possible if both sides focus on shared goals, like countering China's unfair trade practices. The EU's offered a zero-for-zero deal to cut all industrial tariffs, per Ursula von der Leyen's April 2025 statement to Euronews. But Trump's team, including advisor Shankar Singham, says the EU's not serious about changing rules like their digital taxes, so talks could drag past June 1st. If no deal's reached, tariffs hit, and it's a blunder. Higher prices, job losses, and a weaker global economy. If Trump gets concessions, it's a masterstroke for him, but still hurts consumers. Practical solutions? The EU could lower its 10% car tariff, US is 2.5%, per the Carnegie Endowment, or tweak digital taxes to meet US demands. The US could pause the 50% tariff and use the Trade and Technology Council to align on rules, as suggested by the Atlantic Council. Both need to talk fast, before June 1st, or we're all paying more. Key takeaway: this trade war is like a storm hitting your house. It could pass if both sides talk, but if not, prices for everything, cars, food, clothes, could skyrocket. Stay tuned, because this fight's not over. Thanks for joining me, folks. This is Kundan Yashputra, and I'll see you next time on NextGen Now.